Hello, this video is to show you how to get ready for the Chapter 4 test. So problem number 1 on the review is an inequality, 2x plus 4y less than or equal to 4, and then 4x plus y less than or equal to 8. So the first thing we're going to do to graph the inequality is to draw a graph, and then we're going to treat each of those equations like an equation. And each of them is going to be a solid line that we graph because it does have an equal sign. So we're going to change the first inequality into an equation. Then we're going to graph that equation. So first of all, we let y be 0, which leaves us with 2x equals 4. Divide by 2, you'll get x equals 2. So the x-intercept of that line is 2. Next, we're going to let the value of x equal 0, which leaves you with only the equation 4 plus 4y equals 4. Divide that equation by 4 and you get y equals 1. So the y-intercept is 1. And then we're going to draw a solid line like this. Presto. Next, we're going to go to the next equation and graph that one, which is 4x plus y equals 8. Now we're going to let y be 0, so that makes the y be gone. 4x equals 8. Divide by 4, you get x equals 2. So the x-intercept for that line is going to be 2, so I'll do that one in purple. Then you plug in x equals 0 into the equation 4x plus y equals 8, and if you do that, you get y by itself equals 8. So the y-intercept of that one is 8. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Then we're going to draw that line. Now, which way do you shade? So notice that the first inequality that we graphed, the letters are below that, so we're going to shade below and to the left of the pink line, that way. Then we're going to shade the other one is the same as well. Those letters are to the left and below of that line. So we're going to shade below the purple line as well. So the part that we're going to shade is the area that is below both lines, below both the purple and the pink line. So it's this region down here that kind of turns a corner and goes that way. So that's all for question number 1. Now we're question number 2. Question number 2 says -2 is less than or equal to x less than 5. So the first line we're going to draw is a solid line that -2 equals x. So we're going to go to -2 and draw a solid line, vertical line, because that's when you have a line that does not have a y in it, that means it's a vertical line. Next, we're going to do the other half of it, x equals 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Now this line is going to be a dotted line. So we're going to do an open point at 5 and do a dotted line going straight up. And now this inequality right here says basically that x is on the big side of -2, so we're going to go to the right of -2. This inequality right here says x is on the little side of 5, so we're going to go left of 5. So we're going to shade the part that's in between those two lines. That's the solution of the graph of that inequality. Now let's go ahead and do number 3. Number 3 says x greater than or equal to 0. First of all, let's graph that one. That one's easy. X greater than or equal to 0 is just going to be a vertical line like this. And we're going to shade towards the right of that. The next one we have to do on number 4, on the example 3, is y is greater than or equal to 0. That's just going to be a horizontal line at 0, like this. A flat horizontal line at 0, and we're going to shade above that. Then we're going to do the line 6x plus 2y equals 12. Sorry, not equals 12, less than or equal to 12. But when you graph it, though, you're mentally going to think of that as an equals. If I let the y be 0, then I'll get 6x equals 12, and x will equal 2. And if I let the x be 0, then I'll get 2y equals 12. If I divide by 2, I'll get y equals 6. So the x-intercept is 2. Let me change colors. The x-intercept is 2. The y-intercept is 6. So the purple line goes that way. And we're going to shade below that line. So we're going to shade below that line. Then the last one is 5x plus 3y. 5x plus 3y less than or equal to 15. So once again, I change that to an equation, and I let the y be 0. So I'll get 5x equals 15. Divide by 5, you'll get x equals 3. Now I'm going to let the x be 0, and I'll get 3y equals 15. Divide by 3, you'll get y equals 5. So the x-intercept is 3, and the y-intercept is 5. So that one is that one is there. So this line looks like this, and we're supposed to shade below that line as well. So the only part that we can shade is this tiny little area that's in this corner, below the purple line and also below the black line as well. Perfect. There you go. That's done with number 3 right now. Perfect. Now let's do number 4. Number 4 says that our objective function, which is called z, is equal to 3x minus 2y. Then we're supposed to graph 3 less than or equal to x less than or equal to 7. And then y greater than or equal to 2. And then x minus y greater than or equal to negative 5. So let's draw that shape. So draw the graph. Now you're going to draw 2 vertical lines that are both solid. One vertical line is x equals 3. And one vertical line is x equals 7. So the one that is at 3 is going to be this vertical line right here. The one that's at 7 is going to be 4, 5, 6, 7 is going to be this vertical line right there. And we're going to shade bigger than the first one, which is to the right, but less than the second one, which is to the left. But we're not going to shade yet until we're finished with the other two. The next line to graph is the line y is greater than or equal to 2. So we're going to go to y equals 2 into our horizontal solid line, like that. And then we're going to point above that line, because it says y is greater than or equal to 2. Last but not least, we're going to solve the fourth equation. So if I drop the y and let the y be 0, I'll get x equals negative 5. Now if I drop the x and let the x be 0, I'll get negative y equals negative 5. If I divide by negative 1, I'll get y equals positive 5. So basically the x value is negative 5, and the y value is positive 5. So that one looks like this. Perfect. Now we have 4 corners of this, and we're supposed to find the value of the objective function, which is called z, at those 4 corners. So first, let me label the corners for you. So this corner right here is at x equals 7, y equals 2. And that's clear because of the purple line and the red line. This corner right there is at x equals 3 and y equals 2. Now this one's a little bit trickier though, that blue line. That point is at x equals 3. But what's the y value of that point? We're going to have to take this equation and plug in 3 into it. So I'll take the equation x minus y equals negative 5. Plug in 3 for x. 3 minus y equals negative 5. And then solve it. So if I move the y to that side, it'll become positive. If I move the negative 5 to this side, it will become positive. So we get 3 plus 5 equals y. So y equals 8. 3, 8. Last point is at x equals 7. What's the y value of that point? Once again, I'm going to take this equation, x minus y equals 5, and I'm going to plug in 7 for x. 7 minus y equals negative 5. Now, if I switch the negative 5 to the left side, it'll be positive 5. If I switch the y to the right side, it'll be positive y. So 12 equals y. So that point is 7, 12. Now we have to find the value of z at those four corners. So let's just see. If I start with, let me make a little table for this. So the first corner is going to be 3, 2. Next corner is going to be 7, 2. Next one is going to be 3, 8. And then the last one's going to be 7, 12. And the value that the equation I'm plugging them into is z equals 3x minus 2y. So 3 times 3 is 6, minus 2 times 2 is 4. 6, oh, I'm sorry, my fault. 3 times 3 is actually 9. 3 times 3 is 9. 2 times 2 is 4. So 9 minus 4 is equal to 5. And then 3 times 7 minus 2 times 2, that's equal to 21 minus 4. That's 17. And then plug in 3, 8 into this one. So it's going to be 3 times 3 minus 2 times 8. That would be 9 minus 16. That's negative 7. And then last one is 3 times x, which is 7, minus 2 times y, which is 12. That's 21 minus 24 equals negative 3. So the answers are 5, 17, negative 7, and negative 3. And then it says find the maximum value. So the maximum value is equal to 17. And then it says what's the value of x and y when the maximum occurs? The x value when the maximum occurs is right here at that point. So the x value at that point is 7, and the y value at that point is 2. So those are the answers to question 4. Perfect. And then last but not least, question number 5. Question number 5 says that Model A costs 5 hours to assemble and 4 hours to paint. And Model B costs 6 hours to assemble and 3 hours to paint. So 5, 6, 4, 3. Now the goal is to get $20 of profit from Model A. So the function z is going to be $20 of profit from Model A, and I'm going to call Model A x. So A is basically like x, B is basically like y. So the profit for x is $20 and $15 of profit from Model B. So it's 15 times y. And we want to know what happens if the total hours in the assembly department has to be less than or equal to 180 hours. So that means that 5 hours times x plus 6 hours times y has to be less than or equal to 180. And then in the paint department, it has to be less than 108 hours. Less than 108 hours. So that means 4x plus 3y has to be less than or equal to 108 hours. Wow, my computer is going crazy right now. It's really processing hard. Then we're going to have to graph those equations. So if I treat both of those as equations, I'm going to do this one in red. So let the y be 0. So pretend like the y is not there at all. So 5 times what equals 180? If you do 180 divided by 5, then you get x equals 36. So I'm going to go to x equals 36. Boom. And then now I'm going to erase that x. And now this time I'm going to let x equal 0. So if I let x equal 0, that's going to be gone. And then 6 times what equals 180? If you do 180 divided by 6, then you'll get 30. So y equals 30. So that line in red looks like it goes to 30 on the y-axis and 36 on the x-axis. Then the other line down below is 4x plus 3y is less than or equal to 108. Let's treat that like an equal sign. And let's set the y to be 0. So if we make the y be 0, then 4x equals 108. What's 108 divided by 4? That would be 27. So if we do that, we get x equals 27. Now we're going to set x equal to 0. So cover up the x, make that be 0. Now let's do the equation 3y equals 108. The solution to that would be 36. So y equals 36. Perfect. So we solved for those values. Now let's do that equation in blue. Let's do that equation in blue. So x equals 27 in blue would be about right there. Y equals 36 in blue would be about right there. So it crosses like this. Presto, presto. And now let's find the corners of that shape. So the corners of the shape are the ones that are above 0 and to the right of 0, but they're below those lines. So let me draw that. Let me fill in that shape. So the area below both of those lines and above 0 and to the right of 0 as well. So horizontally it's to the right of 0 and vertically it's above 0. That's the area that can be studied. Now let's look at the corners of that area. This corner is 0, 0. This corner right there is 27, 0. This corner right there is 0, 30. And then finally, this corner right there, that's going to be a hard one to find. You can use a graphing website like desmos.com/calculator to find that if you want to. And actually also, since we are in algebra, we could solve it for ourselves just by treating these like equations. Let's do that real quick down to the side. So what's the common multiple of 3 and 6 is 18. So if I take the top equation and I multiply it by 3, I would get 15x plus 18y equals, wow, 3, that'd be 54. So 540. Now if I multiply the second equation by -6, then we get negative 24x, and we get negative 18y equals negative 648. So now I'm going to add those equations together, and I'll get negative 9x equals negative 108. If I divide that by 9, I'll get 12. By negative 9, I'll get positive 12. So x equals 12. And then if I plug x back into the smallest equation, smallest equation is 4x plus 3y equals 108. If I plug 12 in for x, I get 4 times 12 plus 3 times y equals 108. 4 times 12 is 48. So 48 plus 3y equals 108. If I subtract 48 from both sides, I'll get 60 on the right. And then if I divide by 3, I'll get y equals 20. So the values of this point are x equals 12 and y equals 20. Now we have 1, 2, 3, 4 corners to check. First corner we need to check is 0, 0. Second corner we need to check is 0, 30. The third corner we need to check is 27, 0. And the fourth corner we need to check is 12, 20. We're going to plug all 4 of those points into the equation. The equation that we're going to plug them into is z equals 20x plus 15. Okay, let me change colors so it's easier to see since I don't have very much space. The equation that we're going to plug them into is z equals 20x. Oh, I forgot to change colors. Z equals 20x plus 15y. So if I do 20 times 0 plus 15 times 0, I'll get 0. If I do 20 times 0 plus 30 times 15, I would get 450. If I do 27 times 20, I would get 540. If I do 20 times 12, that's 240, plus 15 times 20, that's 300. That's also 540, I believe. Wait, 20 times 12, let me think. 20 times 12 is 240, 240, plus 15 times 20 would be 300. Yep, so that'd be 540 as well. All right, good. So now it says what should be done to get the maximum profit. So there's 2 correct answers, actually. There's the easy correct answers. These are both the maximum. And there's 2 correct answers. It says, how do you do it to produce, how many of each type should be produced to maximize profit? So the maximum profit happens at 2 places, not just 1 place. So the maximum profit happens at 27, 0, so that's the easiest answer. So the manufacturer should produce x equals 27, and x represents model A. So you should produce 27 of model A, and then y equals 0. So you should produce 0 of model B. Now, I would not recommend it, but you could also say that you could produce 12 of model A and 20 of model B. However, though, that does not produce any more money, and it just makes it more complicated because then you'd have to produce 2 different kinds of things. So the final correct answer is just 27 model A and 0 of model B. And that's it for your Chapter 4 test in college algebra. Thank you very much.